Fantastic. I'm going live a little bit early just to make sure that everybody has a chance to get on. Can somebody, if you don't mind, post in the comments just so that I can make sure that I can see the comments and stuff like that? That'd be awesome. Oh, I'm going to put this down a little bit. And then I'm going to move this a little bit here so that you don't see my little microphone. Though I guess that's okay if you see my microphone. That's fine. Hello, hello. Okay, so I see that there's one comment. Interesting that it's not letting me see the comments. That is bizarro. That's okay, because I am a pro at figuring out how to do this, what's it call it, problem solve, because this is not the first time that's happened to me. So I'm like, you know what? Here we go. We're just going to go and we're going to watch it on Pages. Look at me. Whoa. Everything's all vibrating now. My phone, it's like bzz, 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 bzz. Okay, everything can stop doing that now. This is why I go on a little bit early to make sure that everything is working. Hello, hello, everyone. I see that people are coming in. I see the comments. There we go. Okay, well, that didn't work. Okay. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'm super excited. I got to tell you, the Facebook algorithm is probably one of my favorite things in the whole world. So I'm like so excited right now that I'm going to be talking about this. I know that a lot of people aren't super excited about the Facebook algorithm. It's like, oh. But I don't know. I find it to be a very happy puzzle to play around with. Direct to success. There we go. And then let's see. Here we are. Let's look at the comments. Oh. All right. There we go. I see people. I see Christy, Lauren, hi, and Melissa, and Tammy, and Marilyn. Okay, can somebody comment now so that I can make sure that I can see you? Because I think we're pretty much good to go now so that I have everybody's comments. I see a few here. So somebody can comment something and then we'll see what happens. But it's good that I can't really see the comments now because I can always come back and look at them later if necessary. Oh, there we go. I can totally see the comments here. Perfect. All good. Okay, so I can always come back here and look at comments. So, all right, we have about 1 minute left and then we're going to get started. Yep, perfect. I can see everybody's comments. We are in such good shape. Woohoo! Okay. So, word to the wise, as Facebook is going through its little thing that it's going through for its third-party apps, we're going to run into situations like this, but it's okay. I was prepared in advance, so I'm all set. Hello, hello, Lorraine, Delyn, Beth, Audrey, fantastic. My hair is so blue. Honestly, it's actually getting bluer. I'm not sure how that's happening. It should be getting more faded, but you can see my roots are starting to show. So I was thinking about getting Manic Panic and just like, you know, Manic Panic in it and make it all blue. Okay. Hi, Brooke. All right. Welcome. Welcome. Be sure to share this with your friends. Invite anybody that you'd like. This is a public live for anybody who wants to learn about the Facebook algorithm. So let's get started since it is 3 o'clock on the dot. And since this is public, by the way, you can actually share it in your team pages or whatever you'd like. I got lots of pages of notes here. Notes. You'll note that I had some of it written down and it like typed up. And then I was like, oh man, I got to remember to put these things in too. And so I, Amy, enlighten me. All right. So let's get started. All right, so first, my name is Vanessa Konecki. I run LuLaRoe Bobby's Dreamers with my sister. And about 6 to 8 months ago, I realized that Facebook was starting to move in a slightly different direction. And I was super excited because many of you don't know this, but I got my degree in media studies from Emerson College back when the internet was brand new. So I actually was I designed one of the first websites like ever. And when I say ever, I mean that in terms of like relatively speaking, because right now we have billions of websites. But this was back when there were thousands of websites and we had like a website and I actually have a picture of it. I think I posted it on Direct to Success. It was called, the company is called Aleph Inc. And so I made that website and I actually went and found on the way back when Time Machine, like my original website. So that's always been my passion, is the internet and the evolution of the internet. And I just haven't had a chance to use it very well. So when I came to, yeah, you can definitely, the replay will be available. So when I came to the realization this was happening, I was like, yes, I can totally use my degree finally after all these years. And so I took coaching lessons, I joined mastermind groups, the power admin groups, like I went all over the place because I wanted to learn about what was happening in the Facebook world. Now, at the same time, a lot of things have changed since then. And so I've been really glad that I invested that time originally to sort of become more aware of what's going on and why it's happening and that kind of thing. So I want to share that with you because I'll be honest, learning about this stuff is actually, it's a full-time job. I'm not even joking. Like, I have spent so much time on this and trying to share it with our teams and whatnot, because you're trying to find the resources that are best for us as direct sellers or small business owners. Like, we don't need like to know everything. We don't need to know like all of the programming and every single thing that Facebook does. We just need to know the stuff that's relevant to us. But nobody really wants to spend an entire like day, 10 days, 20 days learning about this stuff. So my goal was to learn it and then share what you needed to know. And then, of course, be a resource if you need it, but mostly just to sort of nutshell it for you. So, just FYI, I'm going to take lots of heaving breaths because I'm in Massachusetts and we're like right on the cusp of spring. And when spring comes, the pollen is just... So I find myself going a lot because it's just pollen is everywhere. My dogs hate it. I hate it. It's awful. So just know that I'm not like having any breathing issues. It really is just, it's just allergens. So let me first start by asking you to take a minute and take yourself out of, thank you, Social Life, for telling me that my event is about to start. Sweet. I want to ask you to take a minute and pretend you're not a retailer of any kind, okay? Pretend that you don't sell anything on Facebook. Pretend that you are just an ordinary person who uses Facebook for the same reasons that everybody else does. And this is going to be really, really important. So I want you to just put yourself in that space for the next hour, okay? Because a lot of the problems we have with Facebook algorithms are because we don't approach it from the masses point of view, we approach it from our point of view. And our point of view is extremely different from the masses point of view, as you will learn. So, in this moment, we are no longer retailers. We are all people who visit Facebook just generally. And then I want you to take a minute and think about a party, okay, like an actual party. So you've all walked into this party and you don't know anyone at this party except for the host, okay? So you know the host and you don't know anybody else. Now you need to... like you have to be at this party for 3 hours, let's say, right? So while you're at this party, like you're not going to just stand there by yourself, you know, in a corner. I mean, you might, I used to do that, but usually we as human beings try to find a safe place where we can, you know, our people, you know, where we can sort of just like congregate. And it's easy for us to do that when we have friends who are at these parties. But if we have no one at this party, right? Like nobody at all, we need to get to know people, right? And so what'll happen is the host will usually come, say, hi, how are you doing? And they'll introduce you to someone. And you'll talk to this person and you'll start to have a conversation, right? You'll be like, hi, my name is. You'll talk about your kids, what your favorite books or movies are, sports teams, how you know the host, what you do for a living. You'll start to have these little conversations where you're basically feeling each other out to get to know if you guys like each other or not, right? Like, can you stand to be around each other? Now, if you don't have much in common, you'll kind of talk a bit and then, you know, look around and then fade off into somewhere else and then maybe meet somebody else and then you'll go through the whole cycle over and over again. Over the course of the night, hi April, you're going to meet more and more people. Now some of those people, you're going to be like, you know what, I really like you. And maybe you exchange phone numbers or you friend each other on Facebook or you exchange email addresses because you have enough in common and talk enough to where you're like, yeah, okay, I'd kind of like to talk to you again. Now, when you hear from this person in the future, your brain goes through its own set of algorithms, right? It immediately makes the assessment, okay, I'm seeing this phone call right here. It is from Jackie. And Jackie I met at this party and I liked her and we had these things in common. And yes, I'm going to answer this phone call, right? But you go through that so fast. Like your brain goes through it like that. Your brain is a lot faster than Facebook. Your brain is just like bam, 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 bam. Ah, yes. Okay. Pick up the phone. Facebook is trying to mimic that kind of behavior because we know based on our relationships with people, like if I was to ask you, do you remember your friend Tracy from high school 30 years ago? You were in 9th grade, right? You might be like, oh yeah, I totally remember her. I wonder what she's up to, right? you may be interested in learning about Tracy, but it's likely that you're not interested in like getting, if you guys weren't best friends in high school, you're probably not going to be like, hi Tracy, it's me, Vanessa. We should go out to dinner tomorrow night so I can tell you all the stories of my life and you can give me the rundown of everything that you've done to date since I saw you last in 9th grade, right? That's probably not what's going to happen. However, since I'm really good friends with Tammy, I am probably likely to call Tammy and say, hey Tammy, I'm in town. Do you want to hang out, right? We know what our relationships are with people and how intimate they are and how close they are and whether we want to see someone or not, just because our brain goes through these algorithms extremely quickly. However, online, there's really no way to do that, right? Now, we're going to go back. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to take you back on the Wayback Time Machine. So for those of you who remember MySpace, give me some laughs because MySpace... If anybody was friends with Tom, give me some laughs. We all had, Tom was our only friend for so long. For those of you that were not part of MySpace, just Google MySpace and Tom and you'll learn that Tom was everybody's friend. He's the guy who made MySpace. MySpace was the first friend keychain. Yeah, see, y'all remember MySpace. We're like, hey, MySpace, right? I'm surprised actually. I would expect, oh, there we go. There's more people coming who who remember MySpace. So yeah, there is going to be a replay. Don't worry. So there is, so when MySpace, what it was just a keychain, right? You collected all your friends and you had this little section on the bottom right-hand side of the screen that just showed you pictures of all your friends. And however many friends you had, like that was how cool you were because, you know, having the most number of friends on MySpace was always the thing. But MySpace wasn't able to differentiate between relationships. So you were just as likely to see content or to go see content, because I think you actually have to actively go in MySpace, from Tammy as I am from Tracy from 30 years ago, right? There was no way to distinguish it. And then Facebook came about, right? Now, Mark Zuckerberg has this idea for Facebook, the Facebook, right? And it's going to be an online community. That's going to be awesome. But think about this. Think about a feed, all right, as a non-retailer. Think about your news feed. Your news feed is stuff that you're interested in. And Facebook, at this point, right, we're talking way back when, right, we're in our Wayback Time Machine, didn't know who you're close to, who you're not. And so basically it showed you everything chronologically, right? I would post something right now, you'd see that. Then Syra would post something afterwards, you'd see Syra right after. And then after that, Tammy would post something, so you'd see Tammy, and then Catherine, right? It would just be chronological, right? No real sort of indication as to whether one was more important than the other. Which, back in the day, when we all had 10 friends, that was no big deal. You go through your feed in like 10 seconds, be like, oops, learned everything I needed to know about everyone. Put your phone down. I think this is before phones, so then you turn off your computer. But over time, right, we started to gather more friends, more people that we met, and that started to become our keychain. We're like, oh, I met you at dinner. I'm going to add you to my Facebook friends list. Oh, hey, we knew each other 20 years ago. I'm going to add you to Facebook. So now we're starting to collect bigger groups of friends. Lots of us have hundreds of friends, and some of them friends are really acquaintances. Some of them friends are actually family. But for the most part, we have a large collection of people in our feed. Now, Facebook has tools available to where you can designate people as family, as friends, as acquaintances, but your average Facebook user is not using that option, right? Your average Facebook user is not saying, I'm going to designate everybody in my list so that I know, so that Facebook knows how I'm related to them. For most people, they just add them as a friend, right? And everybody is in this one friends bucket. And it's been that way since, 2005 or 4, whenever Facebook came out? So what ends up happening then when you have hundreds of friends is now your newsfeed is just chronological, right? It's just, whoa, right? And there's no way for you to see things you may actually be interested in, right? Because now you're just seeing chronological list of everybody, right? So Facebook had to come up with a way to make it so that we were seeing things that we cared about, so that I saw things that Tammy posted because Tammy and I are friends and I talk to her more regularly, but that Tracy, though I may want to actually go to her page to just see what she's up to, I don't necessarily need her in my feed every day because we're not that close. Maybe we could rekindle a friendship, maybe not, but it's unlikely that I want to actually see everything that she posts. So Facebook had to come up with a way to sort of figure that out. At the same time, you had Facebook business pages starting, right? And now Facebook business pages, if you go and look at what Facebook business pages used to look like, they're actually really, really funny. And you would go and like a Facebook page because you wanted to support the company, right? So I love World of Warcraft, so I'm going to go support Blizzard. It's the company that makes them. I love Yoplait yogurt. I'm going to go like them because I want to support them. Petco, I'm going to do the same because I'm going to go back to those pages every so often because I want to see, like, do they have, you know, any discounts? Do they have any sales? Are they having any, you know, any coupons? Whatever. I'll go back and look. But now business pages are like, oh man, like these people are liking us. Now they have this feed. I can publish stuff and it'll go into their feed, right? That's really cool. So they start publishing things like that, right? And so now you're starting to see Tracy's things over here that you don't want to see, but now you're also seeing a lot of the, hey, let's buy my stuff, or this is amazing stuff, and all that kind of stuff, right? You're starting to see all these other like promotional things show up. Meanwhile, okay, Facebook now created groups, right? Because they come up with this great idea. So we're moving along the process here, right? Facebook comes up with this great idea. In real life, we have communities, right? We all have communities. I used to be part of the Historical Commission in Franklin. And so when I was in the Historical Commission in Franklin, I would, I would want to talk to my fellow commissioners. So we could have a little community where we all hang out and, you know, we post things and we talk amongst ourselves about the little schoolhouse that's on the corner or the graveyard that, you know, we want to renovate or whatever it is, right? We can talk in this community. What a great idea, right? We create groups where groups of people can come and hang out and talk together. This is awesome. But then retailers got this idea that they're like, well, you know what we could do? Like, this is a captive audience. Why not create a group around our product, right? And now we can post all these things and then we'll have even more access to people. Okay, so now this sounds like a great idea on the retailer side. This sounds like a great idea on the business side, but on the consumer side, who is a user of Facebook, for them, their feed is now getting cluttered with all kinds of nonsense that they don't want. Okay, so Facebook, the algorithm, right, is just, it's starting to be, they realized that they needed to make it smarter. It needed to be able to make decisions about what to show you based on your relationship with people. Like, you may like Ford, right? But you may not necessarily want to see every post that Ford makes on its business page. Like, maybe you have a Ford Focus and you're interested in learning more about your Ford Focus features, maybe, right? But you don't necessarily want the Ford Focus features to be showing up in your newsfeed, burying the fact that, you know, your friend Julia just said that she was pregnant. I was going to go with Julie, and then I realized I know Julia and she's pregnant. So your friend Julia is pregnant, right? You definitely want to hear about Julia being pregnant way more than you want to hear about the Ford Explorer or the Ford Focus. So Facebook has to start to make those decisions. So the algorithm is written to determine what general users, what you as a user, not as a retailer, want to see in your feed. This isn't targeting any specific business. It's not targeting LuLaRoe or targeting Agnes and Dora or Scentsy or any of those things. It's not even targeting businesses. What it is doing, though, is it is trying to create a more positive user experience, which is where people engage with each other. Because here's the thing, and many of you may have watched Mark Zuckerberg's, well, I didn't watch the whole 5 hours because it was 5 hours, but you may have watched, some of Mark Zuckerberg's deposition in front of Congress. And so how does Facebook make money? It makes money off of advertising. Billions of dollars they make off of advertising, right? Why do people advertise on Facebook? And this is where it starts to get really interesting. And just so you know, I'm just going to go a little bit more into how we got here, and then I'll talk a little about what Facebook is supposed to be, and then I'll talk about how we can sort of use that information, right? So Facebook has ads, right? So it's like, all right, yay, ads. That's how they're making their money. But you only publish ads on Facebook because you know they have 2 billion people on Facebook. If tomorrow Facebook said, well, we don't really have 2 billion users, we have 5, right? How many people would actually pay to use Facebook's advertising? How many people would pay to advertise? Because you're paying for the real estate, right? The real estate in Facebook. How many of you would actually do that? It's unlikely that any of you would. If you knew that you could only reach 5 people, you wouldn't. But if users found that their feeds were constantly full of sales stuff all the time, business and sales all the time, they would leave, because this would no longer be the what it is that they opted into. They opted into a community, a place where they could keep up with their friends, a place where they could update their family, where they could share pictures of their dinner, whatever it is. They opted it in for social engagement. They didn't opt it in to be sold to, right? So basically they came in for community, but now they're constantly being sold to. They're going to go find something else. In order for Facebook to be able to keep people here, it has to give them what they want, which is community, social interaction, engagement, relationships, friendships, right? And the only way it can do that is to make sure that the feed is showing them what they want to see. And because Facebook isn't you, it can't make all of those micro decisions on its own. It can only use the actions that you take to make its best guess to say, okay, Manessa just chatted with Tammy. Tammy, I'm totally just using you as my example here. That is also an option, Kim, is that you can, and by the way, I just realized I'm going to go back through this and like look at questions and comments. So I'm using Tammy as my example. So Tammy, so I just talked to Tammy on Facebook Messenger, right? So Facebook is going to say, aha, Manessa and Tammy are friends. She probably wants to see what Tammy has to say. So she's going to show me what Tammy says on her feed, right? Because when Tammy posts something on her personal page, it's going to say, yes, she cares about that. I'm going to show it to her. But if somebody, my next door neighbor, I haven't seen her in like 40 years. Actually, I am 40, so like 35 years, like since I was 5. She posts something on her wall and I've never talked to her and I haven't messaged her. It's going to assume that that is less of a priority to me than what Tammy has to say. And that's how Facebook makes those decisions. Communication and engagement is the currency of Facebook. It is the currency that says, if you have these interactions with people, interactions is key, not action where I am coming to you and saying something and you're ignoring me, right? Not interaction where I'm messaging you and you never respond. Not interaction where I'm posting something and you're just posting, like if I say, everybody tell me your favorite color, and then you're like blue, 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 yellow, purple, orange, whatever, right? That's not interaction. That's a comment. An interaction would be if you say blue and I say, oh my goodness, I really love blue. I have blue hair. And then you say, oh my gosh, I've always wanted blue hair. That's awesome. And I say, yeah, it took me years to figure out how to do that. Now we are interacting with each other, right? That is Facebook currency, is interaction. The problem that we have, right, in general, is that we keep looking at things from the point of view of a retailer, right? So we don't understand, like, I don't understand what the problem is, right? Like, I'm posting stuff and somebody's commenting, like, that's engagement, right? But I want to ask you a question, right? Here's my question. If I said to you, like, any of you, some of you I know, some of you I don't, okay? So let's say I pick some of you that I know and I say, I want to engage with you. Like legit, I'm going to walk up to you and say that in person. You're all going to look at me like I'm really strange, right? You're like, okay, like that's a weird way of saying it, but okay, sure, right? That is not how human relationships work. You don't tell someone I want to engage with you. You just go up and you engage with them, right? I would walk up to you and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you enjoying the weather? Aren't you so glad that spring is coming? And we start talking, and I know everywhere the weather is a good thing to talk about, but here it's especially because we all hate the weather here. Always too cold, allergies, whatever. But we come and we start a conversation with a question, right? But I think that what's happened is we have really overcomplicated this issue. In that in order for you, there's no actual hack to Facebook. You can't hack the Facebook. You can't beat the algorithm. Like, those are all things that people create to make money, right? There is no hacking the Facebook algorithm. The algorithm is what it is. What you can do, though, is understand it so that you can embrace it and make it your friend, right? And how do you do that? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start with like the really simple answer. How do you do that, right? And then I'm going to go into it a little more detail. How you do that is by being human. That's it. Legit, like just be human, right? You have to know, now that you know that Facebook, you have to know, I was going a different direction with that. So with Facebook, you now know, right, that it is trying to mimic human behavior and understand what it is that's happening so that it can identify relationships with people. So in order for you to have more visibility, you need to be a person, which seems really simple, but actually I think it's actually super, like, it's very, very simple, but that's why it's actually so hard. It's because sometimes the most simple things are just the hardest to implement. Because Facebook was not intended to be a sales platform where everybody's feed is full of sales, right? Like all the time sales, because nobody wants to see that, right? And we have tried to hack the system by making it for sales. We are invading people's personal space with our sales. right? We're invading them because most people do not come to groups. So I'm part of this, this power admin group, and there's a question that this guy has asked, and they're trying to learn, they're trying to get data, right? About how do general Facebook users engage with groups? And by and large, Facebook users that are not people who use Facebook groups for business look at it in their feeds, which means they don't see things like your awesome pinned post. They don't see the context in which you may be posting something. They don't see if a post may be part of a series. They just see it as it comes and as it goes in there. And if you happen to not be on their feed at a time when they're browsing, then they just won't see it, right? Unless it's something that they find to be, unless Facebook finds it to be interesting to them. And that's where we start to come in with this be human part, okay? So first things first is stop thinking about it in terms of engagement, right? Because nobody really engages with other people. This is why having authentic posts are so important. Vulnerable posts are so important because the vulnerable posts where you use words and language, right? Specific words and language are what triggers the attention of Facebook to say, these people have something in common. Because all it is it's running through data. That's all it's doing. It's running through data, right? So first is if you post something like, tell me how we met in a GIF, everybody's going to post their GIFs. Now, if that starts interactions between people, right, then that's great. That's fantastic because now you're creating a community. But if all you ever post, and this is why I think many people are having problems, because I've seen people's feeds, I've seen what people post in their groups, and there is a lot of generic engagement posts going around, a lot of engagement baiting, and a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for, and a lot of sales posts, and a lot of live sales, right? There's not a lot of conversation happening around things. Now, there are those of you who are doing a fantastic job with I've seen some of them, they're amazing. People who are talking about homeschooling their kids and people who are talking about getting healthier and self-improvement and learning how to speak a new language. Like all of these kinds of conversations people are having on their groups, and they are actually seeing better sales than those who are not doing that, right? They're selling less. So like they're showing their inventory less, but they are still seeing more people buy because the variety and of kinds of posts that they're making and the vulnerability and authenticity that they're sharing of themselves in their groups is encouraging other people to participate with them. So I'll tell you, so just if you guys are looking for some ideas, I can tell you that posts about pictures of your children and dogs always go well. You'll do really, really well if you post a picture of you at a younger age and then ask people to share about them because people love to have conversations with each other about that kind of thing. Pictures of you and your significant other when you guys first met, like the first picture you can possibly find, and then ask people to share for those. These are all like the kinds of conversations that you would have with a friend. These are the kinds of conversations you'd have with somebody that you met at a party when you're like, oh, where did you meet your husband? Oh, I met him in Anna Maria, right? That starts that kind of conversation. So you want to basically put yourself out there as a person so that other people can interact with you, right? That's sort of the key there, is to get people to connect with something. Because think about the last time that you saw a post that said, tell me how I met in a GIF or something like that, and felt compelled to answer it, right? We all felt compelled that first time, but since then nobody's felt compelled to answer it. We just scroll right past, right? And sometimes you probably don't even see it because Facebook hides it from you because it knows you don't care. But if you see a post that says, hey, this is the picture of me and my husband when we first met, and you can tell it's from the 80s, the hair is all crazy, you're like, oh my gosh, that's hysterical, ha ha ha. And they're like, oh my gosh, I have that picture of our wedding, I have got to go find it, right? That's how people engage in communities when they are in real life, right? So you want to try to mimic a real life community in your group. Now, what are some of the things that are necessary for you to be a person on Facebook, right? So that you can interact with a group. I want to stop for a second and just talk about the entities that exist within Facebook. Like, think of things as entities, right? So when you first signed up with Facebook, you signed up as yourself. I am Vanessa Konecki and I have a Facebook profile, right? Perfect. You write down stuff about yourself, you fill it out like a live journal, you tell stories, whatever, and you, as a Facebook entity, start to gain points with Facebook. She's clearly a real person. She uses Facebook often. She's sharing with people. She's engaging with her friends. You decide you want to go now to your friend from, your friend Tammy and your friend Tracy and a couple other friends, and you comment on their feed, right? Now it's saying not only is she a real person, but she's a real person who has friends who interact with her. And if your friends write back to your comments, now it's like, oh wow, like, so these people are really friends. So you can see how it's processed mentally, not that it has a mind, but it's artificial intelligence, right? Mentally, is basically going through the same process that your brain does, right? And it's just making that calculation later. So first things first, in order for you to be able to have, to maximize your potential on Facebook, you want to make sure that you keep your personal profile active. Facebook doesn't want you to have a fake profile that's just hanging out there. It wants you to engage with the system, engage with your friends, engage with people you know. So in order for that to be, for it to know that, you have to actually go and engage with them. Because let's put it this way. I like Tammy a lot. Known her for years now. But if I never engage with her on Facebook, never comment on anything she does, never message her, we have no interactions on Facebook whatsoever, Facebook doesn't know that we're friends. I mean, it knows that I'm on her friends list. It knows that she's on mine. But it doesn't know that we are actual friends, right? There's no way for it to know that if we don't engage with each other. Because it's not psychic. As much as it would be like, make life so much easier if it were. And actually, no, not really. So in order for it to know, you have to engage with your friends. Which means that the less you engage with people that you know, the less your score is with Facebook, right? Which means that it's not going to prioritize things that you have to say because it's just not going to think that what you're saying is important or that you're actually like, that you're actually sort of real or really using Facebook. However, it will reward you for being consistent in terms of engaging with other people, there's that word again, and communicating with your friends and commenting on their posts, right? So when you go out there into the world, into the Facebook world, take some time every day to sort of just go out there and comment on some posts that people have written to create your relationship. And what's important to remember is this: don't be psycho about it, okay? Do not be psycho about it. I will tell you right now, there is somebody from my past who I literally have not seen in 35 years, who went in and liked every picture that I have posted since 2005. That is a lot of pictures, y'all. That is a lot of pictures. And then she went back and commented on all of them or not all of them, but a lot of them. And then I got a PM so it was a little bit excessive, right? So I got a comment on a post from like 3 years ago or something. So that may be a bit excessive. So I wouldn't do that. But I would go and once a day, just look at somebody's feed or somebody's personal profile and just comment on something, like something, start to warm that up a little bit, right? Rebuild that friendship. And Facebook is going to see that and be like, yes, there's a little bit of a friendship going on here. Sometimes it's not going to take. I have friends from college years where I've gone and done that and they're just not interested in reconnecting. And that's totally fine. That's going to happen. Others, you're going to find, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in such a long time. How are you doing? Now you're starting to warm things up. Facebook's like, yes, there's relationships happening here. She is a contributing member of the Facebook society, right? So that's the first thing. The second entity is your business page. Okay. Yes, Cynthia, I love what you just said. Don't be a creeper. So the next thing is, and I'll come back to these more. I don't know why I looked over there. I knew I was going to answer some of the questions, but I'll come back and answer them. The next thing, right, is your business page. Now, many of you have noticed, right, and I've heard this said many times, so I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, that many of you have noticed that Facebook has that linking feature, right, where you can link your Facebook page to your group. And the first thing I hear from everyone who does that is, I did that, and then I was getting no interaction on my posts whatsoever. None whatsoever, right? And that's true, and that will happen. And the reason that will happen is because your page, right, historically, people have made their page and forgotten about it. Facebook is starting to be really good about delineating responsibilities between the page and the group. And I actually was sitting there one day just fairly recently and I was like, I can't remember, I was sitting kind of like this and I was like, I get it. I get how to put the two of them together. And it was just one of those moments where I'd been trying to figure it out for ages and I had racked my brain. I had cried on the couch, eaten pints of Haagen-Dazs. I was just bitter and angry about the fact that I couldn't figure out what was going on. Why isn't this working? Oh, somebody give me some help, right? That is a slightly dramatized version of what actually happened, but not too much. And I realized that, and you know what, some people have known this for ages, so don't Don't feel like that is one of those things where I was like, I've discovered something new. Other people have known this for a long time. It just finally clicked in my head, right? And what clicked in my head was, think of your business page as your store, right? Who talks to people in your group. Now, this is a very short version. It is not well explained right now. I am going to do a full class on your page and group synergy, right? So don't worry about that. There's going to be way more coming on that, because it is not an easy concept. It was one of those things where I was like, how do I even understand this enough to I need to understand it better to sort of explain it, but it's coming. It is so coming, and I'm so excited for it. It's going to be a course. I'm super excited. But for now, just know that your page, okay, right now, your page exists as an entity. Most people will create it and forget about it, and then they'll have their group. But your page exists as an entity just like you do, right? Which means if it doesn't do anything, then it has a very low score. Now, by the way, you can't see your score. Your score is this hidden score somewhere. Your Facebook is a hidden score, but you do have a score, right? So at the moment, if you haven't used your Facebook page, it's at 0, right? It's like, well, you haven't done anything and you're not really a person. If you stick with it, so a lot of people will disconnect their Facebook page from their group because they're like, oh my gosh, what has happened? I've lost everything and I'm losing momentum. And it's like, oh no. What you really need to do is stick with it, right? It's going to pay off dividends in the long run, and start to post things as your business page in your group and on your business page, right? And what that does is it starts to create that relationship again. And if you're doing it in your group, right, and you do it often enough in your group, then you're going to find that soon that people will start to interact with it. Because we've been doing it for so long at this point, there is really no difference in the interaction between the posts that we make from our page versus the posts that we make with our group. As me, I mean. So like if I make it as me or if I make it as a business page, I get the same general interaction, depending on the content. But you have to actually build that reputation. But it doesn't take very long, like a week and a half, maybe 2. Like it doesn't take very long. So that's something important to remember, is that it takes a while for you to build that reputation. So you can build that reputation by posting in your group as your business page, posting on your business page as your business page, but also by going and liking other pages as your business page, right? And that has a twofold benefit. One is if you pick the pages that you like strategically, like some you're going to like that are really, really big, like chances are you will like LuLaRoe, right? That is a huge company and has a lot of people liking. They may not necessarily notice that you liked them, but you may have somebody like Brandy Bell earrings, right? So Syra loves Brandy Bell earrings, so she can go like Brandy Bell earrings as her page, and then Brandy Bell earrings will be like, oh, that's really nice. I'm going to come back and like your page, and you can start to create a relationship that way, right? Not everybody's going to do that, but it's a really great way to start to network a little bit and warm up other markets. So slowly over time, your page is going to start building a reputation, right? And now a reputation, and now it has its own score. Okay. So now we've established that in order for you to be able to have exposure to the feed, you need to be a person. All right. So now we've established that. The next thing, both types of people, you need to be your person and the Facebook page. All right. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the posts that you're making are authentic engagement posts. Right? And engagement. They need to be authentic posts, the kinds of conversations that you'd have with friends. And somebody just wrote about this. Cynthia, she said, don't do engagement posts because the reaction to those is generally only comments, but engage daily, not only with your personal friends and business relations. That's exactly it. You want to make sure that you're engaging with them. And before you go live or do anything, you may also want to give yourself an opportunity to go to, if you are friends with some of your VIPs, which a lot of us are, or even some of your friends, just go and like a couple of their posts, right? It's not like a humongous deal, but just it helps to sort of warm up that connection. The other reason for you to focus a little bit more on the content is, and I'm going to tell you a brief story, is that, so I had a VIP, and many of you have heard this story before, but it's one of my favorite stories because it really just goes to show you how what content you publish makes a difference. Because sometimes we think as long as I'm posting something, at least I'm posting something, but what you post makes such a difference. Because Syra and I had been doing the generic engagement posts forever, and we were always very uncomfortable with it because we didn't understand why we were doing it. Engagement has never been something I've really understood. It's complicated for me to just be like, I don't understand why we want to engage with people. Why can't we just talk like normal people? But that may be because I come from a video gaming background. I played a lot of video games, and online communities were just a thing in video games. You rarely had in-person communities. So there was this person who she shopped with us, hadn't shopped with us in ages. And Sire and I decided to revamp our content strategy, and we started to write a lot about cassettes. Many of you may remember when I did this. I have my little cassettes still here. Ugh. Hear that? Hear my cassettes? Yeah, this is my cassette. Which one is this? Oh my god, this is somebody's phone number. I wonder whose phone number it is. I'm going to have to ask Sire. So I was talking all about my cassettes. Now, because I was talking about cassettes and I kept bringing up the 80s, this person, because she's very interested in the 80s and cassettes, it started to show up in her feed, right? Because my stuff hadn't showed up in ages in her feed, right? Ages. Because I wasn't really saying anything she cared about. And Facebook, the algorithm, this is like Spaceballs. Remember, does anyone remember Spaceballs? Spaceballs, the flamethrower, Spaceballs, the lunchbox. Facebook, the algorithm. The algorithm basically was like, oh, she likes cassettes. She likes 80s. I'm going to test it out and see if she cares about this, right? And she did. She came back to our group. And I even asked her, I said, hey, I was like, she came over to our open house because she's local. And I was like, I hadn't seen you in such a long time. And she had actually decided she was done buying LuLaRoe. Like, she was just, she's like, I'm kind of not, it's like, I'm not really, I'm just going to buy from Target or whatever. I was like, oh, well, what brings you here now? She's like, well, I actually thought you had gone out of business because I hadn't seen any of your posts in a really long time. And so I was just like, and that's why I stopped buying LuLaRoe. And I was like, oh, well, we're still in business. And she goes, yeah, but I never saw any of your posts. And I was like, well, what made you actually like come and see? Like, what happened? And she said she saw my cassette post in her feed and she reacted to it. And then she started seeing more. And then she started coming to the group again. And slowly but surely, the warm who became cold became warm again and now is hot. So now she buys from us once a month. Like, she's a maintenance shopper, so she doesn't spend a whole lot of money. But she, she's a regular shopper that we can sort of count on. And that is directly a result of the type of content that we're putting out, which is a type of content that people are interested in, right? And so that's really the key here. You want to start to you want to mimic your real life in Facebook, because you need to be giving Facebook the cues that it needs to be able to make determinations about what people are going to be interested in that you post. And right now, you are not doing that. 90% of you aren't doing that. I know that some of you are. Oh, and before I go any further, I just want to say, there are always statistical outliers here. So what I'm saying is a general rule of thumb, but you are definitely going to have people with like 100, 200,000 people groups who just post sales and they do just fine because the law of numbers is on their side and they are so big that they're able to sort of just push their way through. That is not going to be the experience for most of us. So just be aware of that. Like, there's always going to be statistical outliers. You can definitely find examples that are contrary to what I just said, but those are probably going to be few and far between. The general tendency is going to be more like what we're talking about right now. So you want to make sure that your content and the way that you interact with people on Facebook gives Facebook the cues that it needs, the algorithm, the cues that it needs, the information that it needs, because it's a hungry mind, people. It's a very hungry mind, this Facebook. And it will be able to make decisions based on that. And a lot of the reasons why many of our posts don't get seen is because we have, and I'm so guilty of this, guys, like 100% guilty of this. We have so neglected our Facebook feed, our personal feed. And what's funny is I actually didn't neglect it for a while, and then I realized that I had my post set to showing very specific people. So I was posting things, but nobody was actually seeing it because I had it accidentally set to default to only show it to like 10 people or something. And so I was like, oh, oopsies, that was a mistake. So make sure that if you do that, you check that, because I do use the friends allocation feature and somehow turned it on wrong. But so that's been fixed now. But you want to make sure you're giving it the cues that it needs to figure out that you are a person, right? And we have all neglected our Facebook personal profiles. Like, I see some of you doing it a lot, and that's awesome. Our business profiles are neglected, either our personal profiles are neglected, and all we post in our group are, look at this outfit, look at this engagement post, look at this amazing sale, look at my live sale. Like, the word sale is everywhere, right? Now, Facebook doesn't necessarily want you to be exploiting the group's platform in that manner. So it's going to be like, what are you doing here? This is supposed to be a place where people come and hang out and get to know each other and be friends, and you are turning it into this salesy thing, right? Think about Play-Doh, okay? So Play-Doh. Yeah, I'm totally going on a tangent here, but not really, okay? When Play-Doh was first invented in the 30s, it was invented to clean wallpaper, right? To clean paper wallpaper, and apparently it was really good at it. And so, I don't think it had dye at the time. So basically you just smush it on the wallpaper and like take it off, and then like all the stains. Apparently it was very good at it. And so then in the 50s, the wallpaper became vinyl. And so nobody needed Play-Doh anymore because you could just take soap and water and like wash your wallpaper. Apparently vinyl wallpaper was all the rage in the 50s. So Play-Doh now had, what is it going to do, right? Like, it's got nothing. It turned into a kid's toy, right? Repurposed. The groups were never made to be a sales platform. They were made to create communities of people with like minds. And if you think about it in terms of our real life example that we talked about earlier, oh good, I have a Sharpie here. Oh no, I have a cassette here. We'll use the cassette. If you guys are all hanging out in a community, all 210 of you, right? You're hanging out in a community right now, right? We're all just chilling. And your community is about fashion, self-improvement, and beauty. And I started the community, like I'm the boss of this community, right? And I started this community because I wanted to talk about fashion and self-improvement and beauty. And then I basically post nothing but tell me your favorite Bon Jovi song. And here, buy this cassette. Ooh, buy this cassette. Buy that cassette. Ooh, buy the boombox, right? How long are you going to stay in that group? Because there's only so much money to go around. There's only so many cassettes that people want. Right now, nobody really wants cassettes, which is very sad, but you know, it is what it is. But how likely are you to stay in that group? And how likely are you to continue to follow it? Right now, some of you may be like, well, I feel bad. I like Vanessa. I don't want to leave her group. So you'll do what's something even worse. You'll hide it in your feed, right? You'll be like, I don't even want to see this. And now Facebook is like, not only do you not want to see what's in that group, so I should hide it, but you're actively taking steps to hide it, right? That's how bad it is, right? So because I was not observing the customary norms that exist in a community. Because if you guys, all 222 of you now, were hanging out in the park, and I just kept walking up to each of you saying, hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to buy this? Hey, you want to buy this? Well, first of all, you're going to be like, okay, right? And then you'd say no. But because you don't want to be solicited to, you don't want your personal community space to be invaded by sales. Even if I'm running the community, right? But if I say I'm going to create a community and it's a group, they want it to be a community and a group. And if they feel like the only reason that they're there is to purchase something from you, like, well, the only reason Vanessa really wants me in her group anyway is because I spend money with her, they're going to lose interest, right? The same way you would anywhere else. Like when you go to a, and this is going to be my example for what you can do to mitigate this. Think about a craft store, okay? You have a craft store like Michael's. You go to Michael's to buy something. But the problem is this. You only go to Michael's when you need to buy something, right? Sorry, for those of you that don't know, Michael's is like an AC Moore. It's just a craft store. If I need to buy crafts, I will get up, I will actively go to Michael's to buy crafts. The same thing is holding true for your groups. People are only coming when they need to buy LuLaRoe or when they need to buy an item. So then Michael's is like, well, we really need people to buy more stuff. So they did something brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, guys. And I didn't realize this till I started to understand sales theory and marketing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can totally see what they're doing. Michael's has weekly and daily craft lessons, right? You can come in and learn how to make a boat out of twine. And you can come and learn how to make your own ikebana flower arrangement. And you can come and learn how to knit or paint. Now you're coming to Michael's not to buy, you're coming to learn. Class is free. Some have costs, but some classes are free. But while you're at Michael's, well, you never met a Michael's you didn't want to buy from. So you're going to walk through the aisles and you're going to see if you can, oh my gosh, that stamp set is so cool. I want that stamp set. And you're going to buy a stamp set. You may not have ever bought that stamp set. You may not have even come into Michael's that day. But Michael's gave you a reason to come that was not shopping. It was for community, for education, right? That's why people come, is for empowerment, education, demonstration, education, and entertainment. So they bring you in for education, for demonstration. You come in and then you buy something and you leave. That is a community. So when you think about Facebook, you need to be thinking about it in terms of legitimately a community in person that is mimicked online that has no idea what's happening unless you tell it what's happening. And the only way for you to tell it what's happening is for you to engage with it in an active way, to give it those cues so that it's like, yes, okay, this is what she likes basket weaving. She likes cassettes. She likes the 80s. And if you continue to be human, this is why I said be human is the simple answer, because it really is. It's just being human, guys. It's the same thing we've been doing for generations, millennia, right? Since we came out of the trees and started building fires, this is what we've been doing. We've been building little communities of people who have like minds, who engage with each other, and we provide services to each other in exchange for that. So, when society started to become more agrarian, they would go and they would, he would farm and he would hunt, and then they would exchange with each other. Like, okay, well, I don't have any vegetables. I don't have any meat. Here, let's exchange. That's what happens in a community. The only difference between Facebook and our real community is the fact that we need to tell Facebook what's happening. It doesn't know on its own. And that is why I think we struggle so much with the Facebook algorithm, because we feel like it should be more complicated than that, right? And it's also more like we don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about the algorithms that go on in our own heads, right? Like, how often do you spend thinking, I'm making this decision. I see my mother is calling. She is the one who gave birth to me. I have known her since I was born. I like her. I will answer my phone. Your brain does all of those things. It just does it so quickly that you don't really actually acknowledge it. It happens like in a split second. Your brain is very fast. And since we don't usually spend time breaking those things down, it doesn't ever occur to us to do that in person. So that is what I want to encourage all of you to do. I want to encourage everyone to be more human on Facebook, to mimic your real life on Facebook in terms of how you interact with people, what you do, who you talk to, how you create relationships, how you build relationships. Mimic the way you, and always ask yourself, before you post anything, it doesn't matter what it is, always ask yourself the question, would I actually walk up to somebody and say this to them if they were in front of me? In front of me. If the answer is no, then you probably shouldn't post it, because it's probably not going to have the results that you want, right? Like, if you would not walk up to somebody and be like, hey, pull out your phone and tell me how we met in a GIF. Probably not so much. But you may sit down, right, with your friends at coffee and be like, oh my gosh, look at this ridiculous meme, right? And then you guys have like a meme thing, right, where you're like, here's a meme and here's a meme. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I remember that, right? But it's thematic, right? And it goes in a certain trajectory. Like, you'll start with a meme about that kid going, you got this. And then before you know it, it's like the Morpheus one, because everybody's sort of morphing in a direction. Just ask yourself, is this something I would talk about hanging out with my girlfriends? If the answer is no, then chances are it's not going to get much traction in your group either. That is Facebook sort of in a nutshell. There is a lot out there about Facebook, right? Tons out there. You can read tons of books. There's tons of articles. There's a lot out there if you want to learn about it. On the business strategy group, I try to provide as much as I can in terms of updates and things like that. Before I finish, I just want to do one last thing. And the last thing that I want to do is I want to tell you that, and this is something that I thought of today, which is that when you are thinking about Facebook changes, it's important to recognize the difference between unintended consequences and actual intent. What I mean by that is that a lot of times we'll see things happening in Facebook and people will freak out because they'll think that Facebook is changing something major, right? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Something horrible has happened, right? Sometimes it's really just an unintended consequence. For example, when they first did that huge code drop in February, everybody got thrown into jail. For like 2 weeks, everybody was in jail. It was ridiculous. Everybody was getting really angry. I was in jail once and I was mad. I was so pissed. I was like, I don't want to be in jail again. That was not, and everybody was asking, oh my gosh, does this mean that like we're not going to be able to share anymore into our groups? Is this like, what is happening? That kind of thing. Like, it's going to be a big, like there was a big problem, right? I just want you to know that, now you know, that that wasn't intended. That was basically, they were changing one line of code. They dropped 1 million lines of code, and there were unintended consequences when they mass released it. I have been a part of software releases for teeny tiny little companies, for gigantic conglomerates, I've been parts of tons of software beta testing. I have never once in my life had software drop or code change where it didn't have some sort of terrible unintended consequence and people were mad about the unintended consequence. The good news is that if something is unintended consequences, that it'll be fixed, right? It'll be fixed. If something is intentional, then we need to figure out a way to work around it. So I've joined a lot of groups. I'm part of a bunch of mastermind groups. So if you are curious about something, if something has happened, there's a feature that you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? Just send me an email to info@directtosuccess.net. Weird. I didn't actually put that up there. You can send me an email at info@directtosuccess.net. I'll add it there. and I can check into it for you and just let you know, hey, don't worry about it. This is just, we have tons of resources on the business strategy group. Like Amber is there. We're all part of a lot of Facebook admin groups so that we can learn about these things and help you. So that if there's something that you're concerned about, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Just let us know that you're concerned about something, and we'll see what we can find out in terms of, oh yeah, that's totally that's fine. It's just unintended. Or, yeah, dude, that's going to be a change. Sit tight. We're going to, Amber, me, somebody is going to come and talk about it and just figure out how we can make that change work in our business. And that should really help with the fear factor that comes with Facebook, because not all of the changes are bad and not all of the changes are permanent. Some of them are just accidental. So it's good to know that, so that you can just be like, oh, don't need to worry about that. It's fine. It's going to go away. I just need to deal with it for the next couple of weeks. So that, I just wanted to make sure I said that. It's completely unrelated, but it was just something that I thought of as I was talking. If you are interested in keeping up to date with social media news, or maybe you're a Twitter person, you can follow me on Twitter at Direct to Success. The title, my handle is in the comments up above. You can also follow me on Instagram. I do a lot of my philosophical posts on Instagram. My Deep Thoughts with Vanessa is on Instagram. And then for additional information, blog posts, podcasts, things like that, you can go to directtosuccess.net. If you're looking for community building in terms of just business community building, or a place you can go to ask business questions, you can join the business strategy group. That's also up there. My goal is to help you guys with Facebook and help you find your place in Facebook with your business. Okay, so for the last 5 minutes, I'm just going to take a look at some of these comments. Okay, MySpace, Tabitha. Oh, Audrey said that she wouldn't do Facebook because MySpace is where it was at. That changed. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them now. I'm just going down the list. Oh, this is hysterical. I love that. Kathy, I'm sorry if it took you forever to find this. Let's chat afterwards, because this is my first time doing it exactly like this. So let me figure out, let you and I talk, if you wouldn't mind messaging me, so that I can figure out what was difficult about it, so I can make sure to mitigate it for next time. Because this is a learning process. So, Kim said that she's seeing ads in her messages now, not just in her feed. Yes, that is definitely an option. In my Facebook ads course that I have, which incidentally, oh guys, I forgot to announce to you, the Facebook ad course is coming online. I'm super excited. I actually am this close to finishing the first module, so it should be available in the next 2 weeks, so that those of you who cannot attend any of my local trainings, you can just go and get it online. So congratulations to me for getting it done. I don't know why I said congratulations. It's just the word that came out. So whatever, we're going to go with it. Okay. Okay. G. Allen Fink doesn't like me. That's okay. Luke Jellison. Okay. Okay, so do you know if Facebook looks at these conversations between retailer and customer on our groups and business pages, or just our personal pages? No, Facebook looks at all your interactions in general. So if you have a conversation happening in your group, like where a lot of people converse, then it's given, it's like, oh, clearly people are interested in this, because it's really trying to make sure that people are seeing things that they're interested in, right? And to be perfectly honest, think of yourself though. Like when I said take your retailer hat off for a second, the reason I said that was because as a retailer, you don't mind so much if you see all the LuLaRoe stuff or all of the sales stuff or Scentsy or whatever it is in your feed. But if you were not selling anything at all, if you didn't have your own online business and all you saw in your feed was sales, so that you couldn't find out that your friend Julia was pregnant because it was buried under days and days of posts, you'd be kind of annoyed. So that's really sort of just something to think about, is to like just people's feeds and what those look like. So as long as people are conversing, right, and they're engaged, Facebook, and they're interacting, Facebook is going to assume that this is something that is interesting to people. And because we all know it has lookalikes, it can be like, oh, well, I wonder if these people would be interested in it. And it can sort of test that out. Okay, Deanna, I just answered that one. Kathy said, don't be a creeper. Definitely not. Cynthia, I called out your comment. That was a great comment. Okay, so Katie Apollo has a question about Facebook comment and interaction. I'm going to do a training on that. That's out of the scope of this training, but I will definitely, I'll definitely come back to that, Katie. In fact, I'll make a note about it. Becky says I should be eating Ben & Jerry's. Becky, you're so wrong, man. So wrong. Haagen-Dazs is where it's at. My heart is with Haagen-Dazs. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm a big believer that ice cream is greater than everything in this world. So as long as we're all eating ice cream, right? How can you organically grow your Facebook group and page? Christina, that's an amazing question. Christina Luzzi, who asked that question. I will come back. That is going to be another training also. I actually have that already started up. there's a lot of these things that I'm actually putting trainings together. If you want to know about my trainings, definitely follow me on Twitter, because I announce them on Twitter, and then I also post them in the business strategy group. So just be sure that you're a part of one of those things, because any new trainings that come out, like Twitter's is just a great way to keep up with the news and things like that. But I will also post it on the Direct to Success business page. How do you like pages from your business page? I can do a small training video on that one. So, okay, this is great. This is a great question, Joe. So will it show in the group that you're live and when you're live on your page? It does show that you're live, but it doesn't give anyone an extra notification. So in order for you to be like, if you've set a reminder, so like you had a reminder here that said like before I went live, it gave you the option to click a button, set a reminder. And then you would be reminded that I was going live. But if nobody clicked reminder, when I go live, it will tell the people who wanted to know. But in terms of your group, because right now simulcasting to your group is not as awesome as it once was. But I would sit tight on this one, because I will be perfectly honest, I have seen it be both ways, because Facebook is, the third party app sort of situation. So for now, I would make sure that you change your group name or do something else to let people know that you've gone live, just until this whole third party, especially if you use a third party app. But if you share it to your group, then people will be notified the same way. May the Schwartz be with you. Amy, yes, I love it. Jeannie, that son of a bitch shot my hair. That's awesome. I love this. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad, Nicole. Nicole said she found this very helpful. Thank you. So when we make events for our sales, do you recommend making them in groups, business pages, or both? I like to make the event in my business page and then share it into my group. The reason I really like to do that is because I can then take that event and advertise it later if I want to. I have a lot more options available to me on the business page than I do in my group. And since Syra and I are really gravitating towards using our business page, you should actually keep an eye on our business pages, both this one and my sister's, because my sister's and mine, we're actually about to do something totally different with our business page. Amber and I were talking about it yesterday. And once I do it and you guys see it, then I'm going to do a video showing you guys how to do it, because it is a game changer. I am so excited about this option. Like, Amber asked me about it yesterday, a landing page and I was like, yeah, I have one. And I was like, but I haven't figured out how to put it in. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this with everyone. It was one of those like moments. So keep an eye out over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a video coming. Game changers. Okay. Thank you, Dana. All right. Edit. But business pages are meant to be used. Yes, Erin is correct. Business pages were meant to be used as a sales platform or a way of bringing in sales. But in marketing and advertising, you don't want to have it bombarded with sales. So the general rule of thumb is 2 to 1. So 2 personal, 2 vulnerable, 2 posts that are vulnerable, or 2 posts that are authentic, or, whatever. 2 posts that are going to create community for every 1 sales post. Okay. So that's what you want to be thinking about. Even on your business page, you can use your business page for just only selling things, but you will find that people want to interact with you less, and you will actually lose likes, lose people. Like, people just won't want to be a part of it, because people don't want to be sold to all the time. So that's really key. Hi, Kev. Kev said I was a wonderful person. Thank you, Kev. All right. A boat out of twine. I came out of that with I literally came up with that in the last second. Okay. Yes, Tammy Boyd. I'm going to leave this training up to rewatch for everyone. Erin, I wish I could get 222 viewers on our sales lives for sure. But here's the thing, actually, and I want to use this as a really good example. Okay. This is and I'm 100% transparent all the time. Okay. I will always tell you everything. So I have stuff that I sell for sure. I have courses that I sell. I'm making more and more trainings that I sell, like serious trainings. Like, I'm not talking about just going live and being like, hey, look at this. Like, I mean like an actual training with handouts and PowerPoints and things like that, and videos, and like doing actual, those are things that I sell, right? But I'm not selling any of them to you right now. I am giving you value right now. And all of you came. None of you came because I said I want to sell something to you, and probably wouldn't have if I had said, hey guys, come watch my live on the Facebook algorithm, and at the end, I'm going to sell you a bunch of stuff, right? If I did that, you'd feel like, okay, sure, maybe I'll be there. Will she even really give me information that I need or can use? I don't know, right? You don't know if I'm going to give you information that you can use. And you may also think that, well, if I come, then she's probably only going to give me like the stuff at the beginning, like the surface stuff, like on the surface, and then she's going to make me pay for the stuff that I really want, right? Those are the things that you would think of, right? If I had tried to market this as something I was selling you to. selling you on, but I don't want to sell you anything today. I have stuff that you can buy. 100% I do. I'm actually starting a premium group, but and you can buy all that stuff, and that's great. But that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is for me to help you, to educate you, to give you information and nothing more, right? This same thing holds true for your sales lives. Think about it. I have spent a lot of time working hard to learn to build my reputation as someone who you can trust for information. You can build that same reputation as a subject matter expert as fashion and beauty and self-improvement and style, in underwater basket weaving, whatever it is that you want to be an expert in, you can be an expert in. And you'll attract people because of the value that you're offering them. And then they will buy from you, right? But first you have to give them value, lots and lots of value. And I'm giving you value right now, right? This is what I'm giving you for free. No problem whatsoever. They will posit that if you're going to give them that for free, what on earth will they get if they pay you, right? Same thing happens. If you're giving away leggings for free, right, which are so soft and wonderful, what on earth can they get from you if they pay you money? If they pay you $65 for an Amelia, that's going to be golden. I mean, you're giving away the leggings that are amazing for free. What on earth are they going to get if they pay for it? Man, that's awesome, right? They start to feel like there's value here. They start to feel like they are not just money in your pocket, that you care about them, because I care about you guys. That's why I'm doing this, because I care about you. I want you to be successful more than anything. My whole mission in life is for other retailers to be successful, way more than myself. Like, I'm just all about other people's success. That's why I do this, right? And that's my why. That's my why, is why I do this. And I'm doing this just to help. You can do the same on your pages. Whatever it is that you happen to be able to help with, everybody has a skill set that they can help with. If you do that on your groups and your pages and provide that kind of vulnerable authenticity, and for some of you, by the way, the value may be that you're providing people with a safe place to go. I suffer from really bad depression. And when I was at my worst, having a community that I could go to just be depressed and be like, and have them be like, this is a phase, you will go, you know, just like all of our depressive phases, it will pass, you know, that it's not real. Like, just to have people who understood was so meaningful to me. It was never about buying stuff. It was always just about having a place to go where I had a community. Now, here's what ends up happening. When you have a community like that, people don't want it to go away. Right? When you build a community that someone feels like they belong, they will guard it forever. And if that means that they need to buy from you to keep you in business because they know that you are able to fund your community by selling clothes, they will buy from you. Right? And that's why authenticity and building true relationships and community is important, because people support people that they love. People support people that they know, like, and trust, and that they want to be a part of their community. So that's what authentic engagement and being human does for you. Okay, okay, all right, just looking at this. One of my downline, Holly Dear, she really loves when I do this. I go, da-da-da, okay, da-da. She's like, I could watch you just doing that for ages. Oh, Jessica. Okay, so Jessica says that she was, forgive me my plug here right now. I am going to plug something right now. Jessica, I am the ad primer. So if you go to ad primer, I think it's up in the comments. If not, I'll put it there. That's a free 5-day course that will walk you through the basics of Facebook advertising. And then at the end of it, you will have the option, and I need to update it a little bit because the course is going to finish, to buy the course to just get some hands-on. This is how you build an audience. This is how you build an ad. This is like, it'll walk you through everything step by step by step. Okay. Jeannie, okay, so how you put ads into Messenger, I will make a small training video on that too. It's really quick. You can find it in your ad placement section in your ads manager, but I can definitely do more about that. You're welcome, April. Yes, Ginny, it will be posted. Elaine, feel free to message me. No problem. So that we don't hurt other people's groups, is it better to leave the group than unfollow? Leave it. Yeah, leave it more than you would unfollow. That's definitely better. Nicole, I wouldn't go remove it. I would actually, I'm going to come back to you on this one because I don't really know the answer. If it already says sold, I would just leave it as is because it's already too late for that. But let me just talk to Amber a little bit because I think Amber would know better about this. I'm sure she's on here, but I'll ask her and get her information because I'm not 100% sure on that one. But, however, good news, I have another free tool coming out. I'm publishing a tool of words that Facebook doesn't like, right? So words like sold, free, lose weight now, massive physical changes in short periods of time, things like that. Just, things that maybe make promises that they can't deliver on, or things that are really obviously salesy. So keep an eye on that for the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to come out probably maybe next week or the week after. I have the Word document done. I just have to put it into formatting. Oh, that's great, Kathy. I think that's a really good idea, using the Facebook shop. Rachel, you can find all of my trainings at directtosuccess.net. You can find my podcast there too, my blogs, and then the business strategy group is a great place to go. And I'll be announcing my premium group pretty soon. You can find all the information that you need in terms of URLs and things like that up in the description for the training. Jeannie, the business strategy group is linked in the top. Todd, I am your brother's sister's former roommate. What does that make us? Absolutely nothing. Okay. How do we link our business page to our group? Oh, okay. Marjorie, can you PM me about that? Some people have trouble with that. Please PM me about that. Shelly, yes, I will post our Bobby's Dreamers business page link. I'm going to tell you right now that I haven't implemented this awesome idea that I have, so it's going to look just like everybody else's, but come back to it because in the next week or so, I'm going to change it. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. I have like 4 trainings in the next 4 days, so I can't do it before then. Okay. Jim and Trisha, I have no idea where you're actually at. I'm actually simulcasting this to several groups too, so I'm not really sure. But I'm actually going live in my business page. It's probably all over the place though. Thank you, Elaine. I appreciate it. Elaine wants to throw money at me. Oh my gosh, you were. Yes. Yeah, see, 20 people left as soon as Yep, it's true, because people don't want to be sold to. That's so true. Okay. Okay, so the training online, each module will cost $30, but you'll have the option to get a percentage discount if you buy it within a certain amount of time after finishing the ad primer. So they're going to be, so I'm trying to price them reasonably to people who are, in direct sales. The only reason that the in-person training is more expensive is because I'm doing all 5 modules together, and it's a full day of training, and there's travel involved and stuff like that. So it's just, there's just more logistics, which is why I actually wanted to do the online one, is because I think it's more affordable. It's better for those of you who can't get to my trainings, but still want to learn. And I just felt like it might have been unfair to just do them in person, because I know that there's people out there who want the information, and it's not fair that they can't get it just because I don't want to travel that far, because my body is broken from so much traveling and I need a little bit of a break. So I was like, well, I'm going to find a way to get it to them. And so that's what I did. Thank you, Jeannie. You're so sweet. Megan, I will talk more about building a community for sure. But that's going to be a separate training because that's a whole other conversation. All right. Vicky says my brain is killing her. My brain is killing me, dude. Yes, Nicole, there is a way to do that. I will post the link in the business strategy group. It's called I have this big I'm not sure. All right. Yes, you definitely want to link your business page in your group, Kristen. Facebook, here's the thing. Facebook gives you tools, and when it gives you tools, if you use them, it likes it. So it's not above self-promotion. If you use a tool that Facebook gives you, Facebook rewards you for it. So do what it tells you to. So initially it may, like when they first launch a tool, and I like to try out all the new tools. When they first launch it, there's always a problem. It's just the way it is. And so it can be intimidating, but once they get the tool going, like then it's sort of like, so when they first launched the link business page with groups, it was all kinds of messy. But now it's fine, right? So you can totally do it now. Margarita, is there a way to revive a VIP group? Yes, there is. And in fact, one of my trainings is going to be on reviving a VIP group. But for now, just know that you can revive it. It's better to revive one than it is to start a new one. Oh, you're already in the group. That's awesome. My brain is killing. John Fierro, your brain kills me. Your brain kills me all the time, dude. No, Shane, it does not hurt you to just unlink and then relink. It's fine. Just go ahead and do it. I mean, it may in the short term, but in the long term, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's better to just link it and be done with it. Okay. All right. So I think I got all the questions here. If you guys have any other questions, you can, oh, hold on. I mentioned only 10. Oh, no, Andrew, what I meant is that, oh, yes, I can. So what happens in Facebook, now that I know what you're talking about. Oh, thank you, Danielle. You were so sweet. Oh, you were so, thank you. Like, that's really nice of you to, I'm not going to tear up. Not going to blue out here. Okay, so Andrea. So, there is a setting within Facebook, and I can't go into too much detail because I haven't done it in a while, so I'm just going to tell you basically what it is, and then I can definitely do a mini video on it, or just post a link so that you guys know how to do it. But you have the option in Facebook to allocate people to certain group lists. So I can say that Tammy is my friend, and John Fierro is my friend, but Syra Valley is my family, and Shela Mushtaq is my family, and Tracy is an acquaintance, right? And then you can say, and also Julie, I don't like her and don't want her to see any of my posts. And so then you can, when you make a post, you can say, show it to all people, show it to public, show it to acquaintances, show it to, so you get to decide who it's showing it to. So let's say you have a lot of friends who are also in your your VIP group who became your friends. You can put them in a community group that you create called VIP group friends, right, in your personal profile. And then you can post things on your wall that are just specific to them if you want to. You can, or if you wanted to, like, say, share pictures of you on vacation, but you don't necessarily want the whole world to know that you're on vacation, and you don't want them, like, people to know there's no one in your house. You can post your pictures of your vacation and your location and whatnot, and only show it to your friends and family. So it gives you a way to curate your feed so that only specific people can actually see what you post. Okay, so we are now going over to the hour mark, so I am going to... Wait, stop making sounds thing. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I will go over the questions. So if you're watching this on a replay, please feel free to ask questions. I will come back and answer them. If you have additional questions or would like to be part of the business strategy group, please feel free to join. That is really, it's a wonderful active group. There are a lot of leaders in a variety of roles who, like leaders in terms of leaders with rank, leaders with sales, leaders in personality. They're just leaders who are part of that group who contribute all the time. So there's a lot of learning that happens there because I come from a very strong business background, and I am just all about business. I just want business, business, business. And so I wanted to have this page be a resource for people who want business questions, business answers without any of the philosophical issues that may come with it, like whatever philosophical or culture issues that people may necessarily have that make it so that they're afraid to ask questions about business because it may be construed as being against the culture or somewhat. I want you to be able to ask those questions because they're valid business questions. So that is why we created this group, so we can have a valid business conversation of any kind that we want, so we can help propel you to success in your business. So feel free to PM me, email me at info@directtosuccess.net, comment on here, join the group, tons of different ways. Thank you guys so much for spending your afternoon with me. I know that time is the most valuable commodity that you have, and you chose to spend it with me. I really, really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I hope this helped you and that you can go and just change your perception of the algorithm and just go give it like a big hug. Be like, Facebook, I'm going to hug this algorithm. Bye, guys.